Do you think endless cardio and low-calorie diets are the only way you'll ever get toned? After struggling through these methods for decades, I can assure you that starvation diets like this only lead to weight gain. I can make that guarantee since I spent decades struggling to maintain anything I lost with these eat way less, move way more plans. It wasn't until my fat loss efforts took a 180-degree turn that I dropped 50 pounds while easily maintaining the toned body I've always wanted. So in this video, I'll show you 3 of the smartest habits you can start right now that'll get you toned in 2025. But if you keep hopping from one quick fix to the next, you will never get there. So how do you get that lean body you've been chasing while just naturally staying at your goal? You have to form the right high leverage habits that lead to long-term results. Creating habits that move you closer to your fat loss goals is no different than the daily hygiene habits you already follow. Routines like brushing your teeth, combing your hair, or putting on deodorant all fall naturally into place since you've been practicing these habits for most of your life. The same thing has to happen with the habits necessary for an effective fat loss strategy. And if you don't follow this first habit, that's like expecting a lean body while planning your meals around this bag of hot Cheetos. Surely no one expects to get toned while using Cheetos as the base of their diet, right? But that's essentially what you're doing whenever you follow the extreme diet advice springing all up over social media. One influencer tells you that spicy foods will stoke your metabolism, so focus on burning more calories while also burning your insides. Another influencer swears that eating more fat is the key to burning fat. And hey, these Cheetos come in at 60% of calories from fat, so they can't be that bad, right? But the only thing that happens when you make Cheetos your go-to meal is you are always exhausted with junk food cravings that won't stop, which leaves you in no position to even lift yourself off the couch, let alone finding the energy to lift a dumbbell in order to build more metabolism boosting muscle. Even if you're smarter than the average dieter and you instead choose a diet that's high in healthy fats, but it's also low in carbs since you've read that is the fastest way to lose weight, that's still not the best way to get results. So how do you go from this to this while just naturally staying at a healthy weight? Instead of following the latest fad that leaves you obsessing over how many carbs are in everything you eat, whoa, how do baby carrots have 7 carbs and only 30 calories? Or carefully monitoring every last drop of fat that hits your plate, especially since you're still not sure if eating more fat is the key to burning fat like this guy says, or if it stops your progress entirely like that guy says. Instead of obsessing over carbs or fat, focus on the macro that helps you build muscle and leaves you feeling fuller on less calories while also helping you burn more calories just by eating more of it. Not only does eating more protein help with all of these things, but it also strengthens bones, improves recovery, strengthens hair and nails, balances hormones, improves blood sugar, supports cognitive function, and so much more. Which is the exact reason you need to aim for at least your goal weight in grams of protein each day. But that's harder than it sounds since most women only eat between 60 to 70 grams of protein a day. And if your goal weight happens to be 60 to 70 pounds, then you are definitely watching the wrong video. Because on this channel, we believe in strong, healthy women. As a strong, healthy 5'7" woman, I aim for 150 to 160 grams of protein each day since I've learned that's the weight range where I feel best. If you don't have a goal weight picked out, start by working up to 100 grams of protein a day. Continue building on that until you're eating between 30 to 40% of your daily calories from protein, which opens another can of worms entirely. Because 30 to 40% of calories coming from a 1200 calorie diet still isn't enough for you to make any real progress with the third smart habit on this list, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because first, I have to show you the second smart habit that is absolutely essential to getting toned. Which, if you continue following diets that require extreme caloric restriction in any number of ways, that's like filling this glass of water halfway and expecting it to last you through this entire bag of hot Cheetos, which we already established is a horrible fat loss strategy, so I'm not really sure why you insist on eating Cheetos. Then again, it took me making the same mistakes for 30 years before I finally figured this fat loss thing out, so I'm definitely not judging. But really, hot Cheetos aren't helping you no matter what this guy says.
With the Cheeto diet, you can eat as many Cheetos as you want and never gain a pound.
How's anyone supposed to lose weight if they're not following the latest trendy diet? Because some of these guys swear that slashing carbs while getting rid of everything you love is the only way. And I spent close to 10 years believing every word they said, which worked well for at least the first 4 or 5 years since I lost 100 pounds following their advice. I cut carbs to less than 20 grams a day, I fasted upwards of 22 hours at a time, and I gave up all of my favorite foods for close to a decade. But none of their advice worked 5 years in when my hormones pulled a Cartman.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. But Cartman, we're trying to... screw you guys, home.
But instead of going home, my hormones went haywire, leading to chronic fatigue, daily migraines, extreme chemical sensitivities, rapid weight regain, and more. All the while, I continued following low-carb and fasting regimens religiously since these gurus swore it was the only way. But here's the truth about how all of these extreme diets work. Whenever you cut out everything you love, you naturally cut calories. Because who wants to binge on baked chicken and broccoli? And since most of these gurus sing the praises of not having to work out, or really even having to move off the couch, I lost a ton of muscle in the process, which is detrimental when it comes to keeping the weight off, especially since I never had all that much muscle to begin with. Once I began regaining everything I lost after these plans slowed my metabolism, I made the mistake of slowing it down even more by adding excessive cardio into the mix. I did this since I was desperate to counteract my scale shooting back up no matter how strictly I followed these diets. All that did was run me into the ground even more. It wasn't until I vowed to give up all extreme diets for good so I could finally feel like a human that I came across the answer to 30 years of endless diets. I finally learned that while it's true that I had to eat less for an effective fat loss plan, I also had to eat more while eating less if I ever wanted to quit struggling with my weight. But what does that even mean? Instead of struggling through plans that crashed my metabolism, this time I had to have patience since I learned sticking to a moderate calorie deficit where I only lose 0.5 to 1.5% of my total weight most weeks is the best way to get long-term results. And come to think of it, seeing the scale drop at all was only reserved for my lucky weeks. Because you have to understand when you take this slow and steady fat loss approach, there will be weeks when your scale doesn't move. There will also be many weeks when your scale even goes back up. But that doesn't mean your plan isn't working, especially if you're following the third must-do habit in order to get toned, which we'll talk about in a minute. Because following that third habit won't do a thing for you if you don't first figure out the right calorie deficit that helps you eat more while still eating less. Even though some influencers swear that you can't gain weight by eating too little, how about they tell that to this girl who regained 50 pounds even while eating 12 or 1,300 calories a day? Or better yet, maybe tell it to this girl who lost those 50 pounds while eating 2,000 calories every day, which happens to be the same girl who easily maintains her weight loss while eating 2,500 plus calories daily with zero regret. All of those girls are me, just in case that's not obvious. While we can't get into how to calculate your perfect moderate calorie deficit now, I'll link the video in the description that takes you step by step through the process. But before you watch that video, I have to show you the third smart habit that will help you get toned. Especially since these habits are kind of like baking a cake. If you only throw the ingredients into a bowl but you never mix it up or bake it, you end up with this mess instead of that delicious cake that you've been craving. which also isn't great for fat loss. So maybe I should just show you that third habit instead of teasing you with cake. While eating more protein in a moderate calorie deficit will nudge you towards your goals, there's another step necessary to get one of those toned bodies featured in all of those type of videos. Wait, you mean to tell me you've never bobbed and weaved with Billy Blanks? I mean, can we even be friends? Okay, so maybe you're smarter than I was, or you haven't been in the dieting game for quite as long. Either way, if you're still sweating your butt off in these cardio style workouts, that's not the way to get the toned body showcased in the videos. Even if you're following something a little bit more modern that combines cardio with weights, you still won't end up with the results that you want. While it's true you initially burn a ton of calories with these kind of workouts, your body quickly adapts, leading to an eventual weight loss stall, since these cardio style classes slow your metabolism over time. But if all of these workouts are working against you, is there anything you can do to speed your metabolism up? Funny you should ask, since there is a workout style that not only burns calories while you're doing it, but staying consistent with this type of exercise helps you burn calories after, even when you're just chilling on the couch. But the only way to get those kinds of results is to lift heavy weights. But Nissa, that's exactly what I'm doing in my classes. We lift weights every time, and I've already completed over 200 classes. Okay, so after 200 classes, are you any closer to your goal? Well, I mean, not yet. You may need to do 6 classes a week. Nope, that is the exact opposite of what you should do, especially since this isn't even strength training. These kinds of classes are actually just more cardio with weights. And continuing to invest time in workouts where the goal is to burn as many calories as you can never comes with lasting results. So how can you build the lean muscle that actually gives you that toned look? You gotta lift heavy, which isn't really possible when you're jumping around like a bunny rabbit in order to burn a ton of calories at the same time. Especially since lifting as heavy as you need to for visible muscle tone isn't exactly safe with an instructor screaming, "Let's do it again, this time faster!" While you need to lift way heavier than you think to get toned, the good news is most women can scale back their workouts, since all it takes is 2 to 3 full body workouts each week to get the toned look you want. Following a traditional strength training program where you focus mainly on compound lifts while aiming to increase weight or reps each week is the best way to burn more fat on autopilot so you naturally lean out. But if you're new to strength training, so you're not really sure where to get started, you can watch this video next. I show you the exact steps you need to follow for a plan that helped me go from struggling through diet after diet to a plan where I eat more, work out less, and easily maintain a healthy body I love.